Okay, let's continue on with Mishnah Ches, Perek Hey Mishnah Ches. A relatively short Mishnah, but a very, very important Mishnah. Soides Dike Mishnah. The Mishnah that teaches the basic halacha of Yain Nesech that got mixed, that was Me'urav with Yain Kosher. If Yain Nesech got mixed with Yain Kosher. Says the Mishnah, bluntly, Yain Nesech becomes also be'ano, ve'oisa bechol she'u, and it prohibits a mixture, even in the smallest amount, bechol she'u. It does not become bottle in a larger amount, like we have in so many other Isurim with the Torah, bottle b'shishim, and so on and so on and so forth. There is no such thing by Yain. Yain kosher, Yain Nesech mixed with Yain kosher, oisel bekol shehu. It prohibits a mixture even in the smallest amount. That is, if even a small amount of Yain Nesech mixes with a large quantity of Yain kosher, of permitted wine, the entire mixture becomes osur. This is the halacha not only for wine, but also for water that was poured as a libation to the idol. If that water got mixed in, also bekol shehu. Now, let's add that it makes no difference whether the kosher wine fell into the yain nesech or the yain nesech fell into the kosher wine. Either way, it's also bekol shehu. Either way, even a small amount of yain nesech does not become bottle, does not become nullified by a much larger amount of kosher wine. No matter how much kosher wine there is, doesn't matter. The same halacha is if water that was poured as a libation to idolatry also becomes also b'mashu, b'kol shehu. That is because we are particularly strict, we're particularly machmir with anything that has to do with Avodah Zarah. Yain or mayim, both the same. Now the Mishnah continues and explains to us as follows, that this chumrah, that this stringency applies only to a mixture of something with its own kind. With its own kind, which is called in halacha, in Yeridea, min b'minoi. Min b'minoi. The stringency, the chumrah applies only of something which is mixture, which is mixed with its own kind. Now the Mishnah will explain to us what that means. Says the Mishnah, Yain b'yain, umayim b'mayim. Yain nesech mixed with kosher wine, or mayim nesech, water which is nesech, which was consecrated for the libation of water of Avodah Zarah. So again, yain b'yain, yain nesech mixed with kosher yain, or yain, or nesech water mixed with permitted water, says the Mishnah, bekol shehu, makes the mixture also even in the smallest amount, bekol shehu. But yain b'mayim, or mayim b'yain, but nesech wine mixed with permitted water, or nesech water mixed with permitted wine, then that doesn't become also bekol shehu, but it becomes also benoisen tam. Benoisen tam. It prohibits the mixture of the yain b'mayim or the mayim b'yayin only when it gives flavor to the mixture. Only when it's nice and tam, only when it gives flavor to the mixture. Water is considered to have given taste to the wine when a person drinking this wine can tell that the water has reduced the wine's strength. A maven can tell. What can he tell? That the water has diminished the strength, the quality, the taste of the yain. Now, of course, how are we going to determine this? Who is going to taste it? Versteht sich that the person doing the tasting must be permitted to drink that mixture, to eat that mixture. And therefore, as we had previously, a non-Jew who is a chef, who is a maven, who is a mumche, must be the one to determine if the yain nesech has given a flavor to the mixture. If the yain nesech has given flavor to the water. If the water has given flavor to the yain. In practice, however, lemaise, if there is even 1 part in 60 of prohibited matter in the mixture, then we assume that it gives flavor and the mixture is also. So again, yain nesach is also an oisel b'kol shu. But yain b'yain u'mayim b'mayim, allemal always is also b'kol shu. But yain b'mayim u'mayim b'yain is also b'noisel tam. And now the Mishnah states the previous halacha, because it's such an important halacha, it's such a fundamental halacha, it's such a yisoidus dike halacha. The Mishnah now states this as a general rule, as a klal gadol for forbidden food that mixes with permitted food. And here it is. This is the klal gadol, which is fundamental in all of your Yeridea. Zeh klal. This is the rule. Min b'minoi b'mashu. When a prohibited food or a prohibited drink of one kind becomes mixed with a permitted food or a permitted drink of its own kind, lemoshel, forbidden wine mixed with kosher wine, it prohibits the mixture even in the smallest amount. It prohibits it in what? Kol shehu. Kol shehu means in the smallest amount. But that's when it's min b'minoi. Kosher wine with nesach wine. But v'sheloi b'minoi b'noisen tam. But when it is mixed with a permitted substance that is not of its own kind, for example, forbidden wine with permitted water, then it becomes also, then it prohibits the mixture only when it gives a flavor. Only when it gives a flavor. Now, so the rule that we just had stated in the Mishnah cannot refer only to yain nesech, since the rule for yain nesech was already stated in the beginning of the Mishnah. The beginning of the Mishnah says, yain nesech osel ve'oisel b'kol shehu. Yain b'yain u'mayim b'mayim b'kol shehu. The Mishnah says it emphatically in the beginning of the Mishnah. And then it says that yain b'mayim u'mayim b'yain b'noisen tam. So what is the Mishnah repeating now? Zeh klal min b'mina b'mashu v'shaloi b'mina b'noisen tam. It's repeating the same thing it said in the beginning of the Mishnah. And therefore the Gemara explains that this second part of the Mishnah doesn't refer again to yain nesach. We already said yain nesach, poshut. Therefore, the Gemara tells us that this rule applies, the rule of min b'minoi b'mashu v'sheloi b'minoi b'nosen tam applies to tevel. Applies to tevel. What is tevel? Tevel is produce grown in Eretz soil from which truma and other requirements, trumas and maisros, was not yet separated, and therefore it is also to eat tevel, and the oynesh for eating tevel is misa b'dei shemayim. So if tevel mixes with permitted produce of the same kind, for example, wine made from tevel grapes mixed with permitted wine, then the mixture is also, even if there is only a minute amount of tevel in the mixture. But if it mixed with permitted food of a different kind, lemusel wine with water, the mixture is prohibited only when the tevel gives a taste to the mixture. Now, the reason tevel is treated so strictly is because of the importance that the Torah places on the smallest amount of it. According to the Din HaTorah, even a single grain of tevel can be separated to serve as turuma for all the grain in the pile, and therefore permits the rest. And therefore, even the smallest amount of tevel is considered significant enough to prohibit a mixture of the same kind of substance. The Rav here explains it very well. In the Arichas. If you take a look in the Rav, beginning with the words umaskana de milsa lefila halacha, kol isurim shebatorah, all the isurim of the Torah, ben minan, ben shelo b'minan, is benoisen tam, except, says the Rav, chutz mitevel v'yayin nesech. These are the two big exceptions that are not benoisen tam. The b'minan, the b'mashu, sheloi b'minan benoisen tam. Of its own kind, it's also b'mashu. The Mishnah said, ze haklal, min b'minoi b'mashu. But, sheloi b'minan benoisen tam, says the Rav. Now the Rav explains. Why is that? Why are these the two? Yain nesech, says the Rav, mishum chumra Avodah Zarah. But the tevel is keheteroi kach isuroi. The heter is just like the isur, like we just explained a minute ago. K'moi shechita acha, just like one chita patters the entire pile of grain. Kach chita achas, oisa esakeri kulo tevel. The same is if one grain. Ve'im isur mishar isurim nisarev beheter. Im nisarev min b'sheino minoi deika lemeka matayma. Im truma he shenisava b'chulin itamen hakoyen. Ve'im davar isur itamen nachtam goy. Etc. Very well explained. Okay, I hope we got this clear.